Yeah, yeah. In your house with O'Con. Hey, O'Con in your house. Hollywood in your house. Hypocrisy's head in the clouds. Curating all kind of loud. Wrestling in front of the crowds. Paragon's holding it down. Anybody can get it. Josh Joseph standing on his decisions. He is the voice. There is no choice. We as them boys in your house making wrestling noise. Moving fast just like cruiserweight action. In your house is the perfect distraction. Bumpers in your ears when you in traction. Get this work with some wrestling action. Smoke. What is up, guys? What is cracking? It's the Con Man, and I am in your house. And you guys already know the vibes. Anytime we slide on through, we're here to give you that work when it comes to this professional wrestling business. And guys, it is Wednesday, which means if you're familiar with what we do here, you know it's time to get raw. That's right. It's the raw deal with Howse and O'Neal. No
Hey,
O'Neal this week.
I don't think I got that. I don't think I got that face card, dude. Honestly,
Not
Hey.
O'Neal. Annie has got a whole lot going on, so she's going to return next week. But you know what? She's very, very gracious and divinely designed as well, because she was able to get me an amazing guest here to come on and talk all things wrestling from a production standpoint. And let me tell you guys, if you guys have been a long-time listener, you know that back in February, I got a chance to go to the Royal Rumble and be a part of the big Royal Rumble weekend that happened in Indianapolis. And it was a great weekend. I had a blast. I went to the Royal Rumble. I was there the night before and got a chance to go to the Wrestling Revolver, got a chance to see the GCW show. It was a vibe. And, you know, we had a whole lot of content that came from this weekend or that weekend. But I'll say this: I met a lot of amazing people that weekend, and so much talent, so much wrestlers or whatever. But I am a guy who is a producer. I produce. That's what I do. That's how I contribute. That's one of the hats that I wear when I'm at a wrestling show. And I always love to pick the brain of other producers. And this producer that's here on the show was doing some work with the Wrestling Revolver. And if you guys don't know, Wrestling Revolver, that's a pretty big promotion as far higher upper echelon indies. And this talented person got a chance to be a part of it. It's Summer Rawson, a media juggernaut. What is up?
Wow, Con. I mean, hey, there's been a lot of different times that I have been introduced on things, but I truly think you set that up perfectly. You made me sound so cool that I kind of feel like I need to be even cooler in this interview. You are setting me up for greatness. First of all, I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. And of course, thank you to everybody that is watching the show as well and tuning in. Media juggernaut. I mean, we met at Revolver. And I think it was an amazing conversation. I truly think we would not be having this discussion if we didn't meet at Revolver. So I just want to say thank you to you and to everybody for having me on the show.
Yes, no, not a problem at all. We got our man, the voice, Josh Joseph, in the chat. He says, IYH with the special guest. Let's go. We got my man, Jordan Bell. He says, yo, and welcome to the IYH family summer. Make sure you guys are hitting the drop kick on that subscribe button and follow everything that we are doing. So like I was saying, Summer, you were doing production for the Wrestling Revolver, and you are a young individual. Like how old are you?
I have just turned 20 in June.
Just turned 20. That is absolutely insane. And already doing, things like production with the Wrestling Revolver. I know you do so much other stuff, media, production. You're very talented in that. But let me ask you for the people out there in the household who don't know but do the quality of talent that the Wrestling Revolver brings in. I want to ask, what were you doing with the Wrestling Revolver that weekend?
You know, that is a really funny way to put it because sometimes I'm there and I'm looking around and I'm like, how did I even get here? It's a very interesting story because Luke, one of my good friends in the wrestling business, is the directorial like producer of Revolver. And I had
Okay.
met him working for a separate company and he pretty much said, "Hey, you do phenomenal work on this media production side of things and I would like to kind of take you under my wing." I was like, this guy knows what he's doing. I don't think there's anybody else in this production realm that I could learn from but Luke Hawkins, I Shoot Wrestling. He picked me up and went, "How far are you from Dayton, Ohio?" I'm right south of Detroit. So I just went,
Okay.
"Yeah, I can be there." And the second I was there, I didn't know what I was doing there. He told me to be there. Now he has slotted me in perfectly for post production. And I get to sit right alongside him in gorilla position and work
Very cool.
and be able to make it look the way it does, instant replay wise, camera cut wise, graphic wise. The way that Revolver is presented to anybody watching at home is strictly the product of Luke Hawkins. And now he has taken me under his wing to start to make product like that. So I got a really cool hookup with Revolver, and whenever I am able to be there, I am there. And Luke is teaching me the ropes through Revolver, which I think is throwing a kitty cat into a lion's den. And
That's
I am
true.
sure learning.
That's true. Well, no, but that's great though. Like, I was thinking about what you were saying while you were talking, and I'm like, you're 20 years old. You obviously have a passion for production and media and whatnot. And yeah, you could say it's like throwing a kitten into a lion's den. But sometimes, and it seems like that's how you are. As far as what I've seen from you is that it puts you in the situation where you got to sink or swim, and it seems like you're going to swim. So that is very cool, especially with the fact that like not there's I've been to a lot of indie shows and seen a lot of indie shows and help produce a lot of indie shows. When it comes to like instant replays and camera cuts and whatnot, that's not something a lot of indies are doing. So I can definitely appreciate that because that stuff sticks out to me. So I want to ask you this because it seems like you were like a prodigy, as it were. I mean, to be where you are right now at the age of 20 and already be in somewhere in the midst of somebody of a place like the Wrestling Revolver, that's real great. I guess I want to ask you this: how did you start to realize your passion for production? How did this come about?
Um, I like to say I popped out of the womb with a camera in my hand. I very much have been into videography and editing even since I was a kid. I was forcing my family members to watch 10, 20-minute short films I made when I was 7, 8 years old, and they totally didn't want to see there, but they saw what I was trying to do. And they picked up on it pretty quick. So now, starting to be able to further that into a career, it went from being a YouTuber, making YouTube videos, making short films on YouTube that actually people started to kind of get in tune with in my area to the point where people were starting to know who I was without me having to know them. And this was
Right.
happening very young. I hit the Twitch scene right around 2021. And right there was when I kind of realized I had a very distinct love for live production. And
Yeah.
it's a different feeling. It's a very different feeling than going back and editing something after it's done. Although that is something I get joy out of. I really found my niche through Twitch. And now that I'm here and I'm able to kind of form that into something that I can be passionate about with wrestling, it comes from a place of me also just being a fan of wrestling at the time while I was young, learning I had these media capabilities. It really put things in perspective after I started going to college for it. I am a media arts major, and I'm going for my master's in arts administration, hopefully. So now that I'm starting to see these things that I thought was just a hobby, like come to fruition and
Yeah.
actually be able to build a name off of myself with it while still being in the businesses and passions that I love, it really was a 180 going from this is a hobby to, oh, I can really make this into something. I can actually make a name for myself by being the one that captures the art.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think college gave me that realization because on top of everything I do in the wrestling business, I'm the head of videography and editing for their theater department.
Oh
So I
wow.
really got some real world experience with deadlines, with shooting live production, editing it down, following guidelines, and kind of having to PR my work in a way to actually give it to people where they can be like, wow, she kind of has an idea of what she's doing. This isn't just some kid with a camera. This is somebody that genuinely is looking to find the perfect way to capture these things. And that's why I
Yeah.
always say that live production is a different beast. It's something that is completely like separate than shooting a show and putting it in post. So I think the
Yeah.
passion for it really came from the realization of this can be a profession and this isn't just some hopeful dream that a kid has. This is something that is achievable and that is honestly why I do it because I know that I can help people realize that it's possible too. So
Sure.
I think it just
Yeah.
comes from the realization of professionalism
For
and
sure.
knowing that it
Yeah.
can be a business.
It's something that you, yeah, exactly. You said it just right there. You could turn it into a business, turning something that obviously that you've loved your entire life into something that you can, have some trajectory, generate some revenue, and really make a name for yourself off of it. And you were saying that live production is a totally different beast. We got the Chaos Goblin, Kevin Calloway there. He's saying
Evan,
live production and live shows are a totally different animal. Those moments are amazing to be involved in, and yeah, most definitely it's very cool to see everything that you're doing at such a young age, and obviously handling it well, and taking that extra step by saying, you know what, I can do this. I can probably, because a lot of people can get on Twitch, a lot of people can get on YouTube, and they can, they could do that. But for you to go ahead and make the decision for yourself that, hey, I want to make this a career. I want to take this that I love to do on my own time and transition it into something that I can make a career out of. And I just think that's amazing. Not a lot of people can figure that out at that age. But I do want to ask you this, because you, like you said, you're a young person, very young, you're young as hell.
young as hell.
Young as
Boom.
hell, young as hell. But you're also, but obviously you're a wrestling fan. So I want to ask and double back to that real quick. Where did your passion for wrestling begin?
Ooh, so honestly, there's no cinematic way to say that it is accident because being a kid, I've always been into shows. I've always been into cartoons. I've always been one of those kids I was sitting in front of the TV watching whatever was there.
Right.
And one day I came along and Monday Night Raw, funnily enough, was on. And I knew wrestling existed as a kid, but I never really got into it. But I very vividly remember I watched one week. I watched like back in like 2013 ish.
Mm-hmm.
The next week, The Shield broke up. So
Yeah.
I watched one of the biggest implosions my second time tuning in. So if you want to talk about hook, reel, and sinker,
Yeah.
they did. I immediately felt something about it where I was like, wait, why is he hurting him?
Right.
What happened between these three? Because, of course, watching other media at the time as a kid, you're watching normal moral dilemmas play off in cartoons, in kids' shows, in Nickelodeon, and all of that kind of stuff. But it's like, that was a completely different kind of theme and the
Yeah.
realism of it. So the second I saw that, I was like, this is crazy. I need to watch every moment. I need to get completely invested. I need to go all the way in deep end. And I sure did. And the next year, surely enough, 2015, 2016 starts to roll around. I'm nagging my dad, Dad, there's wrestling down the street. There's a wrestling show going on. I want to go. And I annoyed the hell out of this man for this stuff. But the fact that we were going and he was also because he was a wrestling fan. My dad is
Yeah.
grew up watching wrestling. So the fact that
Okay.
he was watching me do it, he's getting deja vu. So we're going to these shows as I'm a kid. I'm going to XICW. I'm going to like DSW and all those things were around. I'm just hitting shows. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. XICW did a lot of fan interaction at that time.
Yeah.
And to say the least, I won fan commentator and then proceeded to work as a commentator. I was 12,
That's crazy.
13 maybe. And the fact people were looking at me in a way, and I was like, wait, am I doing this wrong? Am I doing this wrong? And they're like, how are you doing this right now? And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. Next time I win a fan thing, I'm managing Gavin Quinn because they had fan manager. I work punched somebody, Con. I stomped on the ground.
That's
I was 13.
That's crazy.
So you want to talk about a kid just immediately deep ending without even
Yeah.
trying to like stop and look at like, oh, this is real. This is something that's actually no. I immediately had to figure out what is this?
Right.
And the fact that I was doing that and having people look at me like you're supposed to be a fan. How are
Yeah.
you doing this right now? I really don't think I would be treated as seriously if I wasn't as confident when I was 13, 14, 15 years old
Yeah.
doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Because now I'm here. And I really think those moments and those times, whether it was going to a show or watching at home with family, it really showed me that there is a love, there is a passion, and there is a way to get there. And
Yeah.
I'm still getting there. I don't think I'm there. There's still the moon to get to. But the
Yeah.
fact that I'm here right now, I really think is just a product of being that eccentric kid and not letting that childhood die in me. So,
Big. Yeah. Big
and a
facts.
lot of people see that in me. A lot of people like, oh, holy shit, you're young. Like, you are very small, but you can carry yourself like a professional in the business.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
hard
that
to find,
speaks.
and I think that's why
That
I
speaks.
stick out. And maybe I'm self-aware. I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I I feel that. I feel that respect because I give it
Yeah.
right back to everyone around me.
For sure. For sure. Yeah,
So,
no, I dig that. And like being being self-aware, like you said, I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I don't think I was that self-aware when I was 20 for sure. Like I don't think I in fact I know I wasn't, but the way that you present, you are very professional and it makes sense why these opportunities are coming your way because like you said earlier, it was that confidence, and not a lot of people that age 12, 13 can do those things and feel confident about it. But obviously there was a passion that it cultivated from the moments that you had had as a fan manager, as a fan commentator and whatnot. And I was just thinking, because you said, oh, the second episode that I saw was the Shield breaking up, and I'm like, man, I'm old because I was there for the Shield debut. I was there when they
dude,
debuted together. I was in the
I
in
felt
the
so
building.
jet lagged. I was like, I just walked into a house fire. I didn't know what was
Yeah,
going on. And now
yeah,
I'm like, why is it happening? What started it? I need to know. So then I was gone after that. I was running the marathon. I was already halfway
yeah,
down the field. Like,
yeah.
and it shows. And I'm honestly, it's something I am very proud of because it's a passion that never left me. And it still is very strong to this day.
Yeah, don't let it leave. I just know so many people in my age range and whatnot. Life will beat you down and whatnot, and you kind of forget about that kid that's inside you and those things that made you feel passionate, that made you feel alive and whatnot. So definitely, if I had any advice, go ahead and make sure you keep that, because it's you seem very vibrant, and I can definitely definitely respect that. It's a good vibe. But I want to keep this going here because you obviously have a passion for production. You obviously have a passion for wrestling, and it shows. Hearing you talk about it, I guess with you being so young, you're in college, you're there for media arts, and things seem to be going in the direction that you'd like it to go. But I want to ask you this: what are some plans that you have for yourself? What your future plans? What would you ultimately like to get done? As far as everything that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, strictly, I'll start with wrestling because wrestling is the main focal point here. I would love. I'm an actor at heart. A
Yeah,
lot of the stuff I do comes from a place of performance and entertainment, and there's always the itch that courses through my body to one day train. And that
yeah,
is something I want to leave later on down the line because who knows? I like what I'm doing and this could be good. So for sure I would love to keep furthering in the production side of things. Would love to. I actually was able to edit my first show that's going to be released sometime this month, which I'm really
okay,
excited about.
very
I
cool.
was as a production manager for it was called Wrestling Cancer. It was a leukemia benefit. And I
Ooh,
was pretty much
okay,
behind the whole production side of things and whatnot, and that's coming out soon. But I'll speak a little outside of wrestling as well. Outside of wrestling,
sure,
I do a lot of other things, and the goal with my certifications I'm going to be getting from school is to make an entertainment company. I want to
yeah,
start up Boston Entertainment. I do a lot of events outside of wrestling that are live events. I've done charity streams. I've done live D&D events.
yeah,
I've done screenings for documentaries I've made. I've done a ton of different things, and honestly, the main goal right now is to be able to tie it all together and put it under the same banner. Because on top of wrestling, wrestling will always be one of my focal points.
yeah,
But there is so many other creative avenues that I see in wrestling that aren't even expanded upon because I also have an acting teaching background. And I
okay,
really think, and I don't know, I could be a little out of line to say it, but I really think that character coaching is something that could really benefit in wrestling. I would love to be
oh
the
yeah,
first character coach in wrestling. And because I say specifically character coach, because I will never speak on the physicality in a ring. It
yeah,
is not my place. I don't do that. But what I can do is I can make you believable with everything you do outside of it.
yep,
The goal is to do something like that while also keeping on the production things. But in a long run, Rawson Entertainment continue streamlining the wrestling production side of things and continue making cool, unique, different things. It's something that is so scarce. It is so
yeah,
scarce to find a creative that puts their 110% into things. And that is honestly why I'm very specific about the things I do online and who
yeah,
I go on shows with and what I do, because I
yeah,
look at you and I can say you have a passion. You have something that you're putting out there, and the fact that we can communicate and relate to each other on that level, scarce.
yeah,
So what I
yeah,
will say, I want to keep streamlining my passions, but the goal is to always uplift other people with me because there is so much creativity in this world that stays under wraps.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Most definitely. I mean, you the way that you are driven, I mean, it really does remind me of myself in a way. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you're super driven. You really want to, you really want to drive out there. I really like what you said about being a character coach because what as far as what I've been in the wrestling business, which I've been in and out or whatever since like 2016, and really some of the stuff that I'd been doing in like Destination 6 over in Illinois, and then a merge over in Columbus, Indiana, is helping bring the talent out by doing like helping bring the talent's charisma out by doing some doing promos, working with them, situational type stuff that'll really force them to kind of think outside the box instead of just getting in the camera and say, oh well, let me tell you something, brother, we're gonna be here
right.
at this day on that time, and when I see you, blah blah,
I'm
like
gonna speak in the same cadence every time I talk, and every time I'm going for a belt, you are gonna hear me yell. Like, bro, we get it.
Exactly. Like,
We get
and then
it.
it's like, we're gonna fight in this town at this time, and I'll see you then. And I'm like, no, like, let's be a little, let's think outside the box a little bit. Let's be a little
Draw
bit
me
more.
in. Draw
Yeah,
me in.
exactly.
Do
And
something so out of the blue where I go, I need to watch this. What are they talking about?
yeah, yeah. So if you ever get a chance to, usually, and it's just because I'm so proud of this. I went, me and Sam Knight. Not sure if you're familiar with Sam or ran into him yet. Paragon. Uh, Back in like 2021, we went and we did a 3 show stint over in Las Vegas. It was the Level Up Expo. It was really great. Versus Pro presented it. It was an anime and gaming and wrestling convention. It was very awesome. A lot of people, probably one of the biggest shows that I did. And we did it for 3 straight days over there in Vegas. And, it was such a vibe. But what we did was, because I was their manager and they were the wrestlers, and that's what I do. I manage and do commentaries. A lot of the stuff that you have done and
Yeah.
will continue to do and whatnot. And and I'm big on storytelling as far as like promos or whatever. Like I said, I don't like the cookie cutter stuff. So we was like, what can we do to maximize this trip with our stable? We were pretty big in Emerge Wrestling and a couple other promotions at the time. So what we did was we took one of our guys there who also got booked that weekend, and at the time he was part of another faction that we were feuding with, but he was the only one there for that weekend. The other, they couldn't make it for that weekend. So what we did was we kind of told a story where we kind of ran into him randomly in Vegas, and we were like, "Hey, where's your boys at? You guys, they just left you high and dry, but you know what? We're here. You should join us." So he turned us down, and obviously we were heels at the time, so we didn't like that. So that was our first video, and then in our second video, we did it where I was kind of like, I had the camera in my hand here with the phone or whatever while they were walking up on him, and we literally beat this man up, threw him in the trunk of our rent car, and drove off with them. And that was the story we were telling. It was
Perfect.
amazing. It was
Perfect.
we did it so well that when we were done filming or whatever, we had somebody that was there, just a random person on the street, and he was like, "Yo, I almost called the cops. I thought somebody was getting abducted." And we're like,
Dude, the
"No,
amount of times we have to go, no, no, we're
no,
just filming
exactly." We're like,
something.
"No,
We're
no,
just filming something.
no."
I'm behind the camera and there's two, like, I had to shoot for Flow in Indiana one time. I had to shoot a promo between Ricky Morris and Leela Hall. And
Yeah.
these two are arguing with each other in this resort as people are like going to their room.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm sitting there going, oh
Yes, we're good.
God. Like having to tell them, like, hey guys, we're acting. Like the amount of times I've scared people on accident.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
It means you're
telling you.
doing something right. It means you're doing something right. That's all I'll say.
Exactly. Exactly. So and I remember when we put that stuff out, we put in like a 4 episodes, like a 4 video series. People was buzzing for the next video, and that's just a little stuff there that I'm like, what can we do to set this wrestler apart? Like you said, bell to bell between the ropes. I'm not speaking on that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just because, like you said, as you said, not my place. But like outside of that, what can I do to enhance the show? What can I do to enhance your character? What can I do to pull something out of you that maybe you didn't even see in yourself? And as far as hearing you speak, I'm a huge fan. Like, as far as everything that I do, I model everything. I model the way that I hope talent brings stuff out, the way that I manage, the way that I look at the business from the viewpoint of Paul Heyman. I'm a big Paul Heyman guy. Big Paul
Yeah.
Heyman guy. So I was watching the Paul Heyman documentary. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and so many wrestlers had came out and said, like Rhino. Rhino was one of the main ones. He was like, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what to say in a promo. I didn't know how I should say it. I didn't know the cadence in which I should say it. But when Paul got with me, he helped me tie it all together. And that's what I see in you, is somebody that can bring that out of a talent. Once again, maybe something that they didn't see in themselves, and just help them cultivate a character. I definitely see a whole lot of Paul Heyman vibes with you.
And the thing about it too, it's like a lot of those character choices, because I before I was a media arts major, I was actually studying theater and acting in university, and I actually had almost a year and a half of straight acting classes where
Mhm.
I was learning like strict Russian acting technique. And it something I have learned, and I guess this could just be like one of my thoughts when it comes to character, is if you are wanting to immerse people, you are going to have to feel slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that I think are limited because they just don't go out of their comfort zone. And that's what I want to be able to help with, because there are different techniques, there are different plans, and I could assign these guys homework to do,
Yeah.
because there are so many character things that nobody thinks about that if they knew, their character would now be three-dimensional.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
2D characters in wrestling. The second your 2D character becomes three-dimensional, you have someone like Bray Wyatt.
Yep.
You have someone like um you have someone like what Jessica Havoc and what Gia Miller are doing in Revolver.
Yeah.
Being this, they're the macabre, like what they were doing, at least when I was doing my work there. Somebody I looked to a lot that was I thought was doing it was the macabre stable.
Yeah.
They immersed people. They were terrifying. Gia and Jessica fully pedal to the metal that gimmick. Three-dimensional all
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. No, I definitely like what you're saying. Like you say, you find somebody like a Bray Wyatt that breaks through, that goes from a Husky Harris to a Bray Wyatt, or a Tony Storm who goes from Tony Storm to a timeless Tony Storm. You know, breaking through and becoming like like from Roman Reigns, the big dog, to the tribal chief Roman Reigns.
You
You
watch
know,
these characters become three-dimensional once they
ex-
tap into that, but
yep,
it's so rare.
it really
And that's
is.
what I want on top of my production stuff, because a big part of being the part is presenting the part, is editing it, is making it look right. Like me and Peapod, CJ Owen, if you're familiar.
Yes, I of course, yeah.
Me and
Former
Peapod
guest.
have it's a work in progress, and he might get mad at me for saying I don't think he will, but we actually were starting to plan some sort of seminar to help teach people how to edit videos in simple ways, edit promos in
Yeah,
simple ways. Also, what can you add to a video to amplify the character you are presenting yourself as? So we are actually in plans to actually start providing teachings to people that don't know how to use CapCut, that don't know how to use Canva, that don't know how to use these things, that could
yeah,
get them 10 times more over if they knew how to put it together correctly. So we
yeah.
actually
There's
have a lot of
yeah,
plans of sharing this knowledge in different means, whether it is acting on like what I want to do, or the production side, which is also the other side I do. I want to be an asset. I want to be something that levels people up.
yeah,
And sure, maybe I'll
yeah.
get some credit too here and there, but I want to level people up. That's what I want to do.
I know. I get it. I
Like,
get it. Very Swiss Army knife like.
yes, you get it. Silver.
Yes.
I want to be a silver bullet in the wrestling business that doesn't touch the ring.
Yeah, it's so crazy because that is exactly how I am. I love everything about wrestling, but I personally I never felt compelled to want to be a wrestler. I wanted to work in the business, but I never wanted to be a wrestler. It just wasn't my bag. And like I figured that out at a young age, that if I wanted to do something I knew I wanted to do, be commentary or a manager, or do something backstage, as far as production, because I've being from LA, I've been around the glitz and the glamour, I've been around the cameras, the studios, all that stuff. I came up in that type of environment. So it's always been something, there's always been something there inside of me because of my upbringing. But always wanting to be always wanting to contribute and enhance. That's definitely like somebody like me or you or Peapod, is what I would say. Like I call people like that show enhancers, because you can have your indie show or whatever, and you can have your 6 match card, and then you can if you do promos, and you have people who hold the camera like this instead of like this, and it's like, come on, there's just a
It's the
certain
little things. It's
it's
very
the
little
little
things
things.
that
Yeah.
people look at, and it's like I don't say this trying to assume people don't know, but I do truly believe that a lot of people just don't know how to incorporate those things. Don't
Yeah.
know how to don't know how to find a way to make that work with what they're doing because at the end of the day it is wrestling based. It
Yeah.
is about the wrestling. What
Yep.
I want to do is how can I make your art look professional, presentable and get over your ideas?
Yeah.
Even if you're the promoter, if you're the promoter and you are like, I need this to look a certain way but I just don't know how, that
Yeah.
is where my knowledge comes in. I don't want to overstep anything in ring. I don't want to overstep the art that wrestlers have,
Yeah.
but I do want to be able to pass down what I know from not only college level classes but now almost 10 years doing content creation in media. And I feel so weird saying that because that made me 10. So, but it's true. I feel
Yeah.
very like weird saying that, but there's only so many reasons I can say about what I know, how I know what I do,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I have it, and I want to be able to give that to people. I want people to be able to come to me, hey, what can I do to make this more believable? Hey, how should I edit this? Should I add sound? What kind of sound should I put in this? Is there any sort of way I can sound design, set design this promo to get over the fact that I'm insert gimmick here?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know that stuff, especially with a theater design and technology minor. I'm learning lighting. I'm learning sound. I'm learning set design. I'm learning how to make an interactive stage. That's
Wow.
what I want.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah. That's impressive.
and I even want to cross over my businesses. Like I do D&D events. Do you
Yeah.
understand my beautiful trifecta would be a live produced D&D show where wrestlers bring their gimmicks and must stay in gimmick the entire D&D game to not only one character build them, but two, it would be called Dungeons and DDTs and the game would run like a pay-per-view.
I like that a lot.
It gives them their opening to explore their character outside of the context of wrestling. And that is something that not a lot of people know how to do. You know how
No.
to separate yourself from your character, but how do you make your character dynamic enough to exist outside of the banquet hall? Can you help them go and do a street interview? What if I put your character on a boat? What would they do? What these are the small things that I think about for people that have characters that don't exist in this world or that don't exist just in wrestling. Like, how are you a king? Show me you're a king. How
Yeah.
are you rich? Show me you're rich. Don't just tell me. How are you crazy? How are you the champion? Because
Yep.
you can sit there and hit your head as much as you want, but if you don't make me believe you're crazy, there's work to do.
Yep. True.
That's how I've seen it.
Facts.
So that's
Facts.
why I'm like, I want to merge my businesses to not only create content, give people publicity, but even the little shit of having somebody come on as a gimmick and be able to stay as the gimmick even when playing D&D and they're not in character.
Yeah.
I want to see Kevin Calloway walk on up onto my D&D table as the Chaos Goblin. Hey, I'm Kevin Calloway. I want to play D&D. So
Yeah.
now Kevin Calloway is playing D&D, not the man behind Kevin Calloway. Those are things I think about all the
Absolutely.
time because guess what? I'm going to put them in scenarios where they have to be their character, but they're just doing a dice roll to see if they hit a drop kick or not.
Yeah, yeah, that's very cool. I love it. I love that's what I like. Thinking outside the box, making things big. This it's always something that I, has aspired to see as far as how can you enhance an indie show. And all the time in the business, something, once again, like I said, some Paul Heyman vibes, because sometimes I'll get with the promoter or whatever and we'll butt heads because I'll see like, hey, you could do this, and it would really help push your social media if you did this video or posted it at this time. And sometimes you do it with promoters and they know, they feel like they know what's best for their product, and that's fine. But
That's
you
totally
brought me
fair.
you brought me in to help you. So like sometimes those that headbutting happens, but I love the fact that it's innovative thinking, it's thinking outside the box. I love that's exactly where we're at. We got some comments here. I want to make sure I'm acknowledging the chat here. We got Fightins one. What's up, Fightins? He says, I always thought ECW had the best promos. They had great guerrilla style filming, just going out on the streets and film a
That's
Raven bit. Yeah.
Raven's one of my inspirations for
Ooh,
everything.
okay. Okay.
I study Raven like a fiend. I think he
Really?
is one of the most immersive characters without having to speak very often.
Yeah.
He genuinely tore it down with ECW. And even when I was thinking about being a wrestler, I was looking at Raven for Rawson. That's
Yeah.
something I
Yeah.
look at. It's something that exists in my head. But even what Fightin said about how they were out on the street, they were showing Raven's life. What is Raven doing when he's not in the ring? Because I don't care unless he's in the ring.
Right. Right.
They did that right. So that's a great example because I love Raven and I love the media that came out of ECW with Raven.
Yeah, the thing about, because we do an ECW watch along every Thursday, it's great. If you guys are here and you guys watch the ECW watch along, remember next week we're going to be welcoming the quintessential stud muffin Joe Gertner to the ECW watch along. He was an ECW announcer and manager, and like watching it every single week, it was very raw. It was very real, and like it didn't feel like overly produced, if that makes sense,
Right.
and
He
like
has
I
to have that
like that.
authenticity.
Exactly,
Because
exactly.
we could sit there and plan it and script it, but I'm always going to look at them and go, I want you to say exactly what you think you want to say before we actually try and script this out.
Yeah, yeah, like try to,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
Raven was doing a lot of drugs. Sorry, I just saw everybody in the chat.
yeah.
I'm like, hey, if he was able to do it that way, maybe I can do it sober.
There you go. There you go. No, absolutely. I love it. Absolutely. And like I said, very raw, very real. Like I don't. Okay, so let me ask you this, because I want to continue to talk, and I want to get some of your thoughts on like current day
For sure.
WWE and whatnot, and we'll have that discussion on the other side of the break. But like, I guess I want to ask this: what do you prefer as a producer, as big on media, and the way that view, which is a very very good views as far as like promos and lighting and character work and whatnot. What would you prefer? A grittier promo, maybe on the streets, Raven and whatnot, doing what he did in ECW, or do you prefer like a cleaner, more produced style promo, like maybe in front of the podium over in the NWA in the 80s or something like that?
You know, I think with something like that and a question like that, you gotta allow a little bit of nuance. You have to
Hmm.
kind of understand that it really truthfully depends on what you're representing in your media. Because I
Right.
could tell you 50 wrestlers that I would kill to shoot in a grittier way, in a
Yeah.
more unorganized, disheveled way. But there's also another 50 on the other side that I would want to shoot a very cut, clean, professional promo where they are responsible for getting themselves over without needing any of those exterior things. I don't even see it as a difference in production. If you
Yeah.
are able to go up on a podium, authentically be your character, I don't need to help you. You don't
Yeah.
need any help from anything that's happening outside. So I think one, it's one of those things where it truly depends on what kind of character you're presenting. But in the nature of wrestling and what it is, I think there are so many more promotions that could lean into a grittier style without being a carbon copy of the other gritty promotion happening. Because grittiness is very cut, clean, and dry in the wrestling business, where a lot of people see it as the same thing. You
Hmm.
see, like, you see different camera, darker lighting, different camera angles, fast paced action, but I'm thinking about it in a sense of, would your character use a VHS camera
Yeah.
or would they use a
Yeah.
professional camera? Because if you are truly seeing it from the perspective of the character is trying to get their thoughts out, How do you represent the character unspokenly through editing choices and surrounding choices?
Okay,
So,
yeah.
it's one of those things where if my job is complete if I can completely build a promo without the wrestler in the room.
Sure. Sure. No,
Does
I
that make
like that
sense?
answer. It does.
Like,
No, it
it's
absolutely
weird.
does.
It feels very nuancy, and that does feel like a little bit of a vague answer, but I truly don't see a preference in either unless you're benefiting a character.
Right.
And I
Right.
think it truly just depends because you can have a more formal organization as a like a wrestling promotion that does do the NWA style stuff, or like
Yeah.
there's an interviewer sitting right in the middle of the two wrestlers as they're talking. You can do that. That's totally
Yeah.
fine. But does it
Yeah.
make sense for what you're putting out?
Sure. No,
If I
that
was like,
makes
let's say it's like,
for
in my
sure.
opinion, it's like if GCW put out an NWA type promo. It's like GCW, you are the gritty promotion. If you
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
that, it should only make sense for whoever is speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So I
that
think
makes
it's kind of
absolute
just a
sense.
nuance thing. I think people need more dynamicism in the way they do things, and I think a lot of people are way too worried about a brand to the point where it doesn't let them expand their own reach in the way they promote things. So I
Good
really
point.
think that it really just depends on you as a promoter, the wrestler that's a part of it, and the person producing it, how you feel it makes sense. But I do think a lot of promotions would benefit by not sticking to a certain brand. You have a name, you have a title, you have a show. Everything should look different from the last if you want to retain viewers. And that could also just be an evolution of business because I really think people are itching for something different, an alternative. Every alternative that's came up was either ran by shitty people or did not know what they were doing.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
will say there are current alternatives right now, but I think even on a more centered in level, what can you do to be that alternative? And you could even say alternative as a way to describe the promotion, but I really think a lot of promotions could lean into not sticking with the brand.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Good points here. We got Fightins here in the chat. And oh, this is a great question. A good question,
Ah,
Fightins. What do you think of the Hardys deletion and broken storyline type filming of matches similar to AJ and Undertaker's Boneyard match back during the pandemic?
ooh, so I think if you overdo it, it loses meaning. But I
Yeah.
don't think it make promotion stray away from it because if you are a promotion, let's say, as you said, you used the Hardy deletion storyline, the way that Matt Hardy was like doing matches and whatnot, and you could even say the Boneyard match for Undertaker. But let me talk about one of the best matches that ever did that was the Firefly Funhouse match.
Oh, that was fun.
It's fun. It makes
Yeah.
sense for Bray Wyatt to put Cena through something like that.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt in canon of the WWE had the power to do so. So I
Yeah.
think it should be used as a silver bullet and only if the promotion leans on heavily supernatural inhuman characters. And I honestly think if you were to make a promotion of all inhuman supernatural characters like Broken Matt Hardy, Undertaker, Bray Wyatt, all of these people that use those kinds of things, there's so many different ways you could probably shoot off that bullet multiple times and use those kinds of matches to your advantage. But I truly think that like the style of cinematic matches is something that should be treated like a silver bullet. You need to have the perfect setup to do something like that. Because the second one thing doesn't make sense because you're watching it like a movie,
Yeah. Right. Right.
not like wrestling, people fall out. Like,
Yeah.
even I would even consider, like, not even just thinking about matches that are filmed like that, but I'm even thinking about like Hangman and Swerve, what they were doing with the house, with the fire, with Randy setting the Wyatt compound on fire. Those
Yeah.
little things that are more cinematic but aren't specifically matches add so much more dynamicism to any rivalry you are in.
Yeah.
So what I would say is treat it like a silver bullet. If you feel like you have the setup for it, first of all, think of what the fans would want. Are these supernatural characters over? Do people believe that this person's really undead or not human? Because if so, they're going to eat that up.
Yeah.
You kind of got to know who you have, know what you're doing. But if you feel like you have two supernatural forces or a overly dominant supernatural force that can actually bend time and reality like that, have
Yeah.
fun with it and make it, because it's going to be different. And 9 times out of 10, if I see something like that, like I think about the Kogar promos a lot in the way they
Yeah.
do them. Every
Yeah.
single time they're posted, people are like, nobody's doing this. Zicky Dice is somebody I think about in the way they promote themselves.
Zicky dies. Yeah. Yeah.
Everything he does is, I'm a TV show host. You need to look at me. All of his promos are shot in CRT VHS style. That
Yeah.
is one small decision that completely got Zicky over in my brain, and I haven't even seen him live since like 2018.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. I like what Voice is saying here. Our guy, The Voice, he says Pillman made me think he killed Austin back in the day, and that was very innovative at that time when when you had Stone Cold breaking into Brian Pillman's house. I've seen it a million times. Breaking into Pillman's house, Pillman's holding the gun. They fire it off. The show goes off the air. It's just stuff like that where I'm like, man, these are things that they're moments. And I like what you were saying as far as like the supernatural and everything like that, and the way that you look at it. But man, it is this we're having a good conversation here with Summer. Looks like we lost her for a second, but you know what, that's the perfect opportunity for us to take a break, pay a few bills. Then when we come back, I'll be coming back with Summer, and I want to get some of Summer's thoughts on the current day WWE and the news that came out. Go over that real quick. Like, if you guys have not heard, and if you guys are listening or watching this podcast here, you know that there was a deal that happened. Apparently, WWE is going to be moving their PLEs and whatnot over to ESPN, and it's a whole thing because it has really driven wrestling fans into a frenzy. And I want to get some of you guys out there in the household thoughts on it. Are you guys mad about it? Are you guys going to go from Peacock to ESPN? They're talking about $30 a month. And then if they have their UFC model is you pay for the ESPN, and then when they have one of their big events, you pay for that as well. Usually about 70 or $80. Is that the approach we're going to be taking with the PLEs for WWE? Hey, we will talk about it, and we will get some of your guys' thoughts, and also we get our great guest Summer and everything. Just such knowledge and such skills for somebody so young. We're going to talk about that and more when we come back from this break. Hey guys, welcome back to In Your House. We're still working on getting Summer back here and on the show, but the conversation that we've had already has been really, really great and such a talented. There Summer is. There
Hey,
Summer is.
okay, look,
Such a
look, look.
talent.
All I'm gonna say, I'm a media arts major. This never happens. I promise. I usually am really good about this kind of stuff. Literally, my computer just went problem, and I went, I'm
It's
gone. So
happened.
I
Happened
promise
to
I'm
me a million
usually
times.
good at these things. I'm usually very good at these things.
All good. No problem at
That's
all.
it.
No problem. We
Oh, shout
took
out
a
my
break.
girlfriend for coming and saying hi and telling, like, saying what was up. Thank you.
That's what's up. Hey,
She's hanging out with me.
sweet, sweet. No, that's awesome. Hey, and we appreciate that for sure. But listen, we were just having a great conversation. You've really provided a lot of insights as far as what you do, the way you see the business, the unique way that you see the business, which I think is very cool, and innovative. Now, as I was saying before we took a break, we're pivoting here because I want to get some of your thoughts as far as what you see in current day WWE. But of course, we had the news that broke, and we got to talk about it here and in your house. And that's the fact that we had this deal happen between ESPN and WWE. And it looks like that in 2026, there's going to be pivoting from Peacock, going over to ESPN. And my gosh, this news dropped a lot of different opinions, but mainly I'd say like mainly I think that it was on the downslope as far as like what people thought. It's going to be more money. There's questions on if you're going to have to pay 60-70 dollars for a PLE if they follow the UFC model. We'll definitely talk about that, but like from your standpoint as far as production and everything, where are you at with the current day WWE?
Oh man, I mean, I will say when I saw that that was the first thing I read when I woke up. I actually literally immediately woke up, and when I got my phone, I looked over at my girlfriend. I went, "Why did ESPN and WWE do this?"
Yeah.
Because I truly think they are starting to treat WWE like UFC,
Mm,
which is not right. You are looking at two very completely different fan bases with two very completely different accessibility options to these kinds of things. I think these decisions WWE is making, going from the network to Peacock to Netflix, making all of these moves, they are slowly gonna lose viewership because of the sole reason that if you want people to watch wrestling, it needs to be accessible for everyone.
yeah.
I think bumping up prices, changing networks, making people sign up for more contracts and more plans for all of these things is ultimately going to be like what I ended up doing and going, I'll watch the highlights on Twitter.
Yeah. That's
I'll watch the
exactly what it's gonna get
I'll
to.
go on Facebook and go look at like WWE updates group if I
Yeah.
really am not there watching. And truthfully, I think they're going to see a very interesting dive in passion. And that could just be me looking at it from a media standpoint. I could be totally wrong and people could all be buying ESPN up, but I know I'm not buying ESPN for WWE.
Yeah. Yeah.
It You're
For sure.
pricing out people who are there to be fans. You are pricing out people. It's like concerts. I work in the concert business. My shoe
Yeah.
is concert security and like venue stuff. So I see it all the time. People come up to me, "Wow, concert ticket prices are so expensive." People talk about wrestling in that way. WWE tickets are so expensive. And sure, they still sell out, but that's also because they have 2 million watching at home.
Yeah.
It really has a lot to do with, one, do you know your audience enough that you know that you're overcharging them? Or are you out of touch and seeing $230 million and signing a deal? And I can't speak because I'm not in that I'm not in that contract room.
Yeah.
I'm not in that room making the decisions. But if it were me, I would fully expect a tank in viewership because even the way everybody was reacting online today, trust me, I'm just as much in wrestling everything online as I am
Yeah.
in everything else.
Sure.
People are not happy. They had the same innate reaction I did by going, "What the hell are they doing?" And I don't think it's going to be very good. I do see them still making money. They're still probably going to keep doing exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it really tells me how much they actually know their fans. Because sure, we could talk about the booking of WWE as much as we want, but the fact that the most fundamental parts, like accessibility to watch,
Yeah.
are being misguided makes me worried for the way wrestling is going to be presented. And
Yeah.
honestly, makes me think it is even more of a secluded business now. Like 29.99 a month to watch you. You had the when you had 10.99 for the WWE network. This company is rich as
Yeah.
hell. And you still cannot cater to your fans. It makes me want to stop watching.
And that's,
And I think that
listen,
could also be a very universal opinion, but I would also understand if
sure.
people think it's a good idea.
Sure. But like, I want to say this because I've said that if you guys are regular listeners of the show, you know that I've said a couple of things, and one of those things is this: I have not seen a grow in viewership in the last 1 or 2 years like I've seen in a very long time. I mean, I'm meeting new wrestling fans that are young. They're enjoying it, and it's like a new wave of wrestling fans just in like the last 2 years. But now, as somebody who's been watching wrestling since like the mid '90s, consistently, I can tell you I've covered wrestling in a lot of different ways. I used to write articles for NoDQ.com. YouTube. I was all on YouTube giving reviews and whatnot before I settled into doing what I'm doing now, which is ultimately podcasting and enjoying it. I haven't seen this many people say, I'm just going to stop watching. Like, I'm just not going to watch anymore. I haven't seen this level of people say this since like the 2010s when WWE was like super stale. It was super formulaic. I could tell you exactly who was going to win what and who was going to do. They were just way too safe, and it was really during that PG era, and that's when a lot of people said, I'll stop watching. And then that's when, like, for me, I was in that realm. I stopped watching. So I started seeking out Ring of Honor. I started seeking out TNA, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And so I just was like, I never wanted to be one of those people that was online complaining all the time. And then, you know what? I hate that the WWE did this, but I'm going to tune in next week.
Right.
I didn't make a big fuss out of it. I was just like, I'm done. I'm gonna watch something else. And when things got better, I came back to it. But it's just a thing that it concerns me because I remember back when they were promoting the WWE Network. And in case you didn't know, every single episode, every single hour of the show, every single half hour of the show, they had to remind you that the WWE Network is $9.99, $9.99, $9.99. It is $9.99. So then we had the WWE Network, which I honestly thought was a excellent streaming service. You can see all things WWE wrestling. You could see all the companies that they had bought out, whether it be WCW or ECW, and you can see all their content there in one spot. And then they opened it up and started pushing towards Peacock, then ultimately now on Netflix and whatnot. And now we have to have two or three different streaming services to catch all the action if we want to, and then after that it's like, okay, ESPN, are we, what's the deal with that? ESPN Plus now, a lot of people, and I know I've got mine's bundled in with my Hulu. I use Hulu. It
Right.
is what it is, so it's, but so we'll see where it goes with that. But it's like, it's just the constant shift that people are going to have to spend more money and more money. And it's just like Kevin Calloway said earlier. He had said here, he says, wrestling has traditionally been a blue collar entertainment. If you price out the blue collar, you might run into issues.
That's my
And
point.
I
100%.
absolutely see them running into issues.
And I will say is there is a I'm a very, very, very natural optimist. So I'm going to
Yeah,
look at this and I'm going to go, I hope to God more people turn their eyes to independent wrestling
yeah, yeah,
because you have the big head honcho megacore pricing you out. guess what everyone's going to look for? Back to my original point,
Yep.
the alternative.
Yep. Exactly.
I hope that this actually increases viewership for independent promotions. And you know what? Honestly, independent promotions that don't make you jump through hoops to get their content. Because that is what WWE is doing. And like I'm thinking about like Kevin had another good point where it's all for ESPN channels and WWE, which could be worth it for general sports fans, but not exclusively for wrestling fans. I think they are muddying waters too much. Because like me, I have two siblings that both played sports.
Yeah.
I was not the sports sibling. So
Right.
I never was really into those kinds of things, but the sport I found the solace in watching on TV was wrestling. So it also kind of makes me wonder, are you just trying to get more eyes on general ESPN content? Is
Right.
that the crux of this? What motivated them? Because obviously we can always go Disney has money, but also what motivated them to make that decision after just deciding this year and making it such a big deal for Netflix and Peacock?
Yep.
It doesn't commute. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand how you got from point A to point B and you still are trying to figure out what's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get
Yeah.
it. I don't get it. And honestly, I think at the end of the day, my hope is that people search for an alternative and don't give up on the business because it's the people that let it go that help it die. For
Yeah.
sure, the $1.6 billion deal, 100%. I'm saying money aside, because we already know they're already thinking about that. We already know that's why it's all happening. It's the money.
Yeah.
But it really tells you, okay, how in touch are you? How much do you actually care? Because
Yeah.
if wrestlers were controlling it, this is not the way it would be going. But media figureheads are going to be the ones that make these decisions. And that could just be a really big retrospect. And I could just be speaking from a really weird standpoint with media, but studying media, studying algorithms, studying
Mm-hmm.
content, studying viewership. I've been doing that for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
They are actively screwing themselves out of making a unique, separate product like the WWE has been to something like UFC or the
Yeah.
MLB because it was its own thing. And
Yeah.
that's why people were attached to it because they didn't have to watch something else to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, got a lot of good points here. So, like, I was, we have the, in the in your house group chat or whatever, and I was talking to, we were in there, and like I said, you're very outside the box thinker, and I love outside the box thinkers. That's why I love working with the guy named the Voice, Josh Joseph, and we were talking, and we were both like, this would be, and I absolutely love what you're saying about the indies. Support the indies, go out there and support them. This is a perfect time to do it. It seems like that's opening up just like it opened up for me when I went and I was enamored with Ring of Honor. But we were thinking if AEW were smart, this would be a perfect opportunity for them to jump in and maybe make the decision to say, hey, starting in 2026, our pay-per-views, our special events, they're going to be able to be streamed free if you have a membership on HBO Max. And I truly think that if they were to make that spin, were to do that, I think they would. I don't think they will, but I'm
I
saying
don't
if
think
they,
they will either.
once again, I don't think they will. But if they did, I think it will be a prime opportunity for them to bring in more viewership.
Fully agree. And I also think with the way AEW runs, I have like even just from like the original point of this podcast being media production,
Yeah.
I was literally just so my girlfriend is just starting to get into wrestling. She's just starting to watch it. Like my sister's finally getting into it after making fun of me my whole childhood. So they're watching it together and they're starting to watch it and get into it. But I was sitting down with her the other day and I was like, watch this really quick. I showed her the fall like the post um MJF Jericho fallout where they did the my shadow and me
Yeah, yeah,
where everybody thought they were going to be like beefing and then they pulled this move and they're
yeah,
like they actually like each other. AEW to anybody could be seen as a lot more fun. That doesn't
yeah,
make it the best. That
yeah.
doesn't make it like I'm not I have my opinions about AEW, but at least from the
Same. Yeah,
presentation side and the way they promote their characters, unmatched. I always look at the House of Black, the way
Mhm.
they did all of that. You knew the House of Black was on screen because of the way their promos were shot. Same thing, like going back to WWE, The Shield. WWE, though, did not carry that ball very far. They dropped it. I think they dropped it
Mhm.
the second they started booking Wyatt incorrectly. But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
AEW never really faltered in the way they created things. Like even with Tony Storm, completely
Huge
different
star.
ball game.
Yeah.
So I was showing her the clip of the My Shadow in Me, and we were talking about it. I'm like, this is what more wrestling needs to do. They need to show that. And that's why I think AEW capitalizing on that, especially with all of the online series AEW has, all of the
Yeah.
behind the scenes, the media scrums they do, you could find a spot to put it somewhere that's affordable and get more viewership from those angry at WWE. Look,
Yeah.
it's a very practical business move, but I fully agree it's something they can do because again, a lot of people were picking up on that. They had that alternative like adrenaline when they watched
Yeah.
AEW. Like
Yeah.
they take so many more chances with what they're doing and they like Kevin's saying, more chances on characters and they actually trust the wrestler to do their work instead of
Yeah.
micromanaging the way they present themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So I think they would be smart to do something like that, but I just don't think I don't think they're going to. And I really think it's going to be a major detriment because I really think it is something that could garner them more viewership, but at the end of the day, I think it's a very true mistake on WWE's part to be adding that kind of thing or implementing that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like that if AEW, like, this is because my thing with AEW is it feels like you they don't capitalize on like their bigger shows. I just watched All in Texas during that big weekend where they had Saturday Night Main Event and then Evolution, which was just absolutely incredible. Loved that Evolution pay per
Yes.
view. The women are amazing. But I watched that and I'm like, this show, this All In show itself made me want to jump back into AEW. But then here's the trap that always happens with AEW is they can really tell you great stories and be up during, during their special events, but it's the weekly shows that I feel like fall short.
100%.
That's exactly
100%.
where it's at. It's I just feel like if they can write and consistently write more compelling television on a weekly basis and take that opportunity. Here's the thing, you don't even necessarily have to, make the special events free, but with this is an opportunity to tell better stories to where, if like you said, people are like, you know what, I'm just kind of I'm exhausted with the WWE right now. They're doing things in a way that I don't agree with. I don't want to have to look at professional wrestling as, just another utility bill.
Exactly.
Like I
Exactly.
don't want it to be like that. This is a prime opportunity for AEW to tell better stories, build up better characters and whatnot. And by the time WWE does what they're doing, and people ultimately have made the decision by then that they're not going to continue to follow, they're going to keep, Netflix, because
For
they'll
sure.
watch other things besides Raw on Netflix, and if they want to watch Raw, they can, but if
ESPN
they're
is a weird move. It's
it's a
weird.
it's a weird move. It's a weird move, but this gives AEW a chance to at least be more juicy by the time they make that jump, and maybe they can get a leap in viewership from that.
Could you put Josh's comment that starts with "Way fans stay with watching indies" really quick because I want to talk about that very quickly.
Sure.
Um, so this comment is something I'm thinking about because you started talking about AEW. AEW has very very strange weekly television.
Yeah.
I think the concept of storytelling has been very corrupted by wrestling
Yeah.
because of the content. They write stories and expect the moment to be the reason why the story is good. Sure, CM Punk holding up MJF's picture as a kid. That's a moment. Sure, it goes
Yeah.
viral. But the people that watch every week, they do not know how to pace stories.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. And that's why, like, saying the indies, they will actually get viewership by drawing in storylines, tying that all the way back to production. People don't capitalize on keeping people invested on social media. And there are so many cool feuds I see in independent wrestling that where you can
Yes.
see both wrestlers are using raw emotion with it. But where's the recap?
Yep.
Where's the everything that's happened before? Where's the vignette?
Yep.
Even just like, if you don't, even if you're a promotion and you don't have a screen on your setup, posting a vignette of a hype up is going to do numbers. And
Yeah.
that is something
Yeah.
that AEW does very well. But I also think both WWE and AEW have a very superficial understanding of storytelling that is strictly applicant to the wrestling fan, when there are a lot of fans that aren't wrestling fans and don't know how it works. So you need to tell a story to them the way a movie does before you
Yeah.
pull them into the more spaced out section story moments that we are used to in wrestling. And I think maybe looking at storytelling in a more linear way instead of long-term booking will help with the pacing of shows. People want to see a conclusion. You make them wait too long, they lose interest.
Yep.
But if you do it right and you actually want to have months and months and months of buildup, you better know how to pace it, because I will tell you something, I'm able to tell when it's not
Mhm.
paced right. And
Yep.
it feels like we're rushing. Okay, we're stopped. We're stopped. We're not doing anything. Oh, now they're fighting again. Like, I need that rivalry to be as loud and as linear as you guys are presenting it on TV to be, because it doesn't. It doesn't hit the same way every time it shows up on screen. And I think
Yeah.
that's another big problem with now modern wrestling in like televised state. They just write the story and be like, yep, this is where we're going to be. This is the time. And they put it over a branch, which you can see in the new Unreal show, which I think is very, very, very glamorous for no reason.
Yeah.
And just trying to prove, hey, we're doing work. But in actuality, you're watching these storylines and you're like, this is still going on. Or, wait, didn't that happen last week though?
Yeah.
Why are they getting jumped again? Like, I feel like I'm watching the same show. So
Yeah.
my big thing with it is something that, just thinking about the one thing that Josh said, I didn't mean to go on a mini tangent, but Tia, like,
No.
the big wrap up of that would be, pace your stories. Have somebody who's never watched wrestling read what you have in the way that it's paced and ask them if they can understand it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there are times where you should do very intricate booking and very little things and space it out over time. I'm not saying that's a bad choice, but so many places rely on it. And all of their rivalries, it becomes exhausting to even try
Yeah.
and see an ending.
You know what WWE has done, and I want to get your thoughts on this. What WWE has, to me, absolutely in a major way oversaturated as far as getting their stories across. Um, it's the break apart. It's the break aparts. I really feel like they've oversaturated the break aparts. Like when Shane Helms comes from the back, when Jason Jordan comes from the back, and then here comes Adam Pearce. You're like, no, come on, separate them, separate. I
Wait, we saw
truly
this
feel like
last
we're
week. Like,
exactly. I feel like we've seen this on a weekly basis.
and there's so many other ways to get stories over. And that's why, hey, this business is about the wrestling. It is about what happens in that ring. But all of the amplifications that will make that get treated even more seriously is if you take those little steps to make it realistic, to make it
Yeah,
feel that way. Because if you have break aparts happening every single week with
every
the
week.
same guys, like I watched Raw the other night. Like I was with my sister, and like they had, Rollins and Knight wrestle, and it's like, okay, I can tell you exactly what's gonna happen here. Here comes Bronson Reed. Here comes Braun Breaker. The
Yeah,
only part that shocked me was Roman, and they did very good with that.
yeah.
But everything felt very, I have seen this before. And that makes me very upset because they have a very prime heel Seth Rollins. Some of the best television, in my opinion, was when Seth had the Money in the Bank for the first time, and he was
Oh yeah,
really a little weasel and he
He was.
really got people to hate him. They are there again and now he's evolved and they are still doing the same story elements everyone has seen. But
Yeah.
imagine if it happened. Imagine if you see Seth walking into the venue and all of a sudden Roman's not letting him do anything. There's
Yeah.
other places to use, there's other scenarios to use, and there are sure as hell many different ways to convey that to an audience besides the same weekly thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I
That,
just
that
feel like I just personally feel like that. This is the biggest wrestling company in the United States. You hire what people would consider to be the best writers and whatnot. And just why can you not think outside the box a little bit to where a pull apart is the thing that we're doing every single week? Just
like why
like
am I think why are we thinking about this? Like we
right,
like like and that's good, this could just be like opinionated things from us, but I feel like just anybody who takes in a story feels that way or knows how to tell a story or read a story or process a story kind of feels a little bit dragged along for the ride.
yeah,
You should
and
never make anybody feel that way. You need to
eh,
make them feel like they are a part of it, whether they are
yeah,
not, or they are.
yeah. See, and here's the thing, like I know this is just more like a wrestler thing. I don't know if like because you're writing weekly television and I can understand that sometimes but it's still your job, and I understand sometimes it's a grind, but the thing about it is it's like in wrestling, like wrestlers will ask each other and be like, "Hey, are you fighting in the crowd tonight?" And then they say, "Yes." Okay, then I won't do that, or no, and then
That
I work,
simply communication.
it's because they don't want to present the same thing in the same show twice, and I just feel like it's a disservice to everybody when once a week on Monday Night Raw, every single week we see Shane Helms, we see Adam Pearce, we see Nick Aldis come out, and they're having to pull two rival wrestlers apart, and it's way too formulaic.
And honestly, if you have wrestlers like, let's say hypothetically, WWE had every single person on their roster putting in 110% to their work, their character, their everything. I'm not saying they don't, but making a scenario, you have these people that are busting their ass to convey something to an audience.
Hmm.
It's like getting Broadway actors to perform a middle school director's performance.
Mm.
It You have these superstars. You have
Yeah.
people that have the look, have this character, have the drive. And I could be the obvious one and say Karrion Kross is a very bright example, but they are also working it a little bit. But I also truly do think that Karrion Kross is somebody that has that 110%. He is a character and they don't care. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that really could immersify wrestling and could really draw in viewership from all walks of life, but they are written like a fifth grade play.
Yeah. Oh, big facts. Big, huge facts.
It's like
Because you
having
see,
it's like having like one of the biggest people in Broadway walk into a theater workshop and it's ran by 8-year-olds. Like it's one thing if you're a writer and you were a wrestler. Great.
yeah.
You have an idea of what you're doing, but that doesn't always mean you're right. To the
Right.
natural, organic, once in a lifetime viewer. Yeah, Karrion Kross is definitely getting worked right now, but it's more so a thing of I want to see how far he can go with that character. Because what do you
Yeah.
mean you set up a time traveler character or a time bending character with tarot cards and power and could
Yeah.
actually tell people, hey, you're gonna lose that title and it's going to happen very soon. You have somebody with something to dangle over people's heads that makes them slightly stronger than a champion, and you didn't immersify people?
Right. Right. It's
I
just
don't
like
care if he's a shit wrestler. He
yeah,
had a character. He had
a great
something that
character.
people could like look at and be, "Oh my gosh, he is actually inhuman and supernatural and can do these things and can shake up these champions." There
Yeah.
is no haymaker like that.
And here's the thing, like it's like you said earlier, they haven't taken the opportunity to move Karrion Cross from a two-dimensional character to a three-dimensional character. It hasn't
Right.
happened.
And I think, and that also like the idea of being three-dimensional doesn't only apply to wrestlers. And I guess I don't mean to stray away from modern wrestling topic, but
Sure, sure. Go ahead. Yeah, we're
thinking
just
about
talking.
it, I do commentary as well. But
Yeah,
also, me when I do commentary, I'm Summer Rawson, but I'm also the throwback kid Summer Rawson.
yeah,
There is a character in everything I do. Whether it's the version that people I want people to see, or if it's just me on 100, there's a character.
yeah,
Me and Peapod have very specifically planned the way we commentate things together because they want to convey that I'm this random time traveler that kind of just speaks in like I'm just here. I want everyone to be friends, but I'm still conveying the story to the audience.
yeah.
It's
So,
like
so
you
let
can't
me.
get lost in the wrestling, but you also
Yeah,
can't get lost in the character, and you have to find the
find in
hardest
between.
thing of time. Yeah.
Yeah, find the in between, and it's funny because I like that because when I was managing and doing commentary, I was under the name the director Hollywood House, and it was a gimmick to where I was like a Hollywood director, but I was like a sleazy director, and like I would tell you that oh, I've have all these accolades and whatnot, but really like I was a straight to DVD director, and that was the joke. That was the joke that I felt like I was bigger than what I am. And like, but when I started doing commentary, it's like you said, you have to turn yourself up, but still, still tell the
You have a
story of what's going on.
responsibility.
Exactly. You have a responsibility of telling what's going on in the ring. So I would still be my character, but I would be, I tell everything that was going on. I could do play by play, I could do color, and still be my character. It's pretty much like a Bobby the Brain Heenan when he did commentary, or
Mhm.
like a Jerry the King Lawler when he did commentary, or somebody like Taz or something. They're still themselves, they're still that person, but they're taking the responsibility of being the lyrics to the song that is the pro wrestling action going on between the bell.
Right. And I think there are a lot of wrestlers that are very phenomenal, and they honestly could be even something better if they understood those kinds of intricacies, whether they are a manager or a wrestler or an interviewer or a
Yeah.
commentator or a ring announcer. Like if you are truly just conveying yourself to that audience, you can do that. But you are a part of the show.
Yep. Yep. As long as
You
you
want people
understand
to
your role.
believe just as much as you do that you
Yep.
are trying to convey to them that this is real. You have to be able to be ready to be that character at any time, especially that wrestling is a business that also consists of a lot of child fans.
Oh yeah.
You want people to remember wrestling and maybe not be like, oh, be stuck in kayfabe the whole time. Be stuck,
Hmm.
oh, you're a mark. You don't know what's going on. No, people find solace in the unreality of wrestling.
Yep.
Why don't you lean into that? Make everybody a character. Make
Yep.
everybody a little bit of something. So guess what? You can brand them, you can promote them, you can have them fill shoes, you can have them do whatever you want because you know they are representing your company as a character.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's just all about understanding your role for whatever you're booked for that night, and as long as you understand that role and do that role, you can be whoever you choose to be as long as you're filling that role. So no, I like a lot of what you're saying here, man. I've really enjoyed this conversation in a way that like I knew when we talked back in February when we had met for the first time. I knew that it was kind of like post show, and you were still you were busy, you were doing your thing. I had been around that night, so we got like a little
I worked 3 shows in a day that day, so I was
exact
running around.
exactly. So we did like little 15-minute, but I'm glad that we expanded and was able to get you back on the show. I really love your insights and your views on the business. They really align with my own. And this has really been an interesting and fun conversation. Definitely, I would not like this to be the last. But with that being said, guys, we're going to slide out of here and call this a really great episode. But before we do that, I am going to give my awesome guest co host here an opportunity to plug anything that they want to plug, upcoming appearances, where you're going to be at next as far as doing production, social media appearances, or social media period. Where can they catch everything that you're doing?
Yeah, so first of all, of course, thank you for letting me have the platform to be able to promote myself and everything. It's been such a fun time talking to you. I would do this any day of the week with you. You are such an insightful mind, and it feels very nice to feel a little less crazy. But for me, at least, you can find me everywhere at Summer Rawson or at Summer Rawson underscore. Usually it's either under the tag of just Rawson or Summer Rawson. I stream on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram. I have all of that stuff. But I do have some appearances coming up for the wrestling business and for my own businesses as well. This upcoming Saturday on the 9th, I will be at Wrestling Revolver doing post production. So if you guys are in the area, if you're ever near Revolver, I'm a familiar face. I'm a little hard to miss. So if you want to say hi, don't be afraid to. The following weekend, the 15th to the 17th, I have the Motor City Wrestling Expo, which I'm very excited about.
Ooh, okay.
That Friday is the Ring Review Awards. I am presenting the Women's Wrestler of the Year award. I'm really excited to be having that opportunity. There's a red carpet and everything. If you want to attend, tickets are available now. I'm a panelist throughout that weekend, so you'll see me around the con, just wandering around doing my thing and talking to some WWE legends that are going to be there. Brooklyn Brawler, Godfather, you name it. I'm going to be able to be having conversations with them. Last thing I'll plug for August, Divine Women's Pro Wrestling on the 23rd goes back to the Uplift Bar in Ann Arbor. Literally, we had such a fun time the last time we got there, and honestly, it was a completely new audience of people that I asked about 7 or 8 different groups, and every single one told me they had never seen anything like it before. So
Wow.
if you are in the area of Ann Arbor, Uplift the 23rd, bell time 7 o'clock, door 6:30. I'm going to be running a lot of the production there because the main production, CJ Owen, will not be there, so you'll see me running around with the camera, but I will be there representing Divine. So if you guys are going to be around for that, I would love to see you there. And the last thing I'll plug is if you're ever interested in D&D, I am officially starting up my D&D events again. I used to run them with a different
Ooh.
company, but now I completely own this event. Rawson's Realms begins in September, late
Ooh.
September. Live D&D events if you ever want to try. So it's right down in Southwest Detroit, right near the Downriver area. So if you are ever interested, I will be putting stuff out for that. So that's kind of what my August and September looks like for wrestling. I mean, I'm around all the time. If you want to know more intricately, follow me on social media. I post pretty much everywhere I'm at. So I'm just thankful to be here. I'm thankful to have this opportunity to talk about the things that I always feel a little bit like I can't talk about. And I hope that the insight that me and Khan have had for this podcast has helped you. And feel free to reach out to me. I love helping people. I love coaching people. If you ever want to trust me with that, I will take very good care of you and your character. So
I could definitely tell. I could definitely tell you have been such an insightful guest, and really learning more about you has just been so cool. Annie always speaks very, very highly of you, and I knew I was excited for this episode because I knew that I feel like I feel like some of our visions like align with as far
for
as how we
sure.
see wrestling in production and stuff like that. But I got to tell you, my mind is blown with how much they actually really do align in so many different ways in the way that we view the business. You are a special talent and a prodigy in professional wrestling, and seems like in media altogether. So this was a very, very cool conversation. So thank you for taking your time and coming
Thank
on
you.
and talking to me and all of the household out there. And guys, this is the quality of guests that we bring onto In Your House. Check out everything that we're doing. Make
You
sure
better.
that you hit
You better. If
make
you're
sure
if you're from
exactly.
my side of things, you better go check that out. All right. I'm
There
looking
we
at you.
go.
You
Exactly.
know?
Hey guys, Hit an even flow DDT on that follow button. Make sure you're seeing everything that we're doing. Follow the YouTube, follow the Twitch, and make sure that you watched and listen to this after we drop the podcast version on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Ladies and gentlemen, Summer Rawson here and doing amazing things in production. Look out for everything that Summer is going to do, because I feel like you might see her in companies and see her production touch in companies above places like Wrestling Revolver. Wrestling Revolver is great and amazing, but I could definitely see with the vision, the drive, the talent, you can be in places, in higher places that you probably didn't even see for yourself. But listen, I can see it for you. So guys, really appreciate you guys coming in and checking out everything that we are doing and checking out the great guests that we have here. Follow Summer. Make sure you follow all her social medias and see what Summer is going to do next. And guys, you can already tell that with somebody like Summer, it's somebody who is dedicated to the work. And that's
Yeah.
HOWSC, and the W stands for work. So for Summer Rawson and the entire team here at In Your House, I'm Alakan, the Concept House, here to remind you to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend to hop on this bandwagon.
And
Get on.
also, always let
Oh, yeah.
Rawson in your house.
Let Rawson in your house. Guys, you have a great day. Great rest of your week.
Thank you, everyone.
Peace.
Yeah. In your house with O'Con. Hey, O'Con in your house. Hollywood in your house. Hypocrisy's head in the clouds. Curating all kind of loud. Wrestling in front of the crowds. Paragon's holding it down. Anybody can get it. Josh Joseph standing on his decisions. He is the voice. There is no choice. We is them boys in your house making wrestling noise. Moving fast just like cruiserweight action. In your house is the perfect distraction. Bumpers in your ears when you in traction. Get this work with some wrestling action. Smoke.